Welcome to a new video. This is the How I Read tag. And I have done this because I was tagged by TheReadingWarrior, who was really cool to tag me. I mean, and I will put a link to her channel in the description, and she is like really awesome. She makes cool videos, and I really like the realness and the talk she does, so really check out her channel. It's amazing, and it totally deserves more subscribers than it has right now, because she is awesome. And she tagged me. The original tag was made by EnyasCorner, and it has 8 questions about, you know, like how you read. So I am going to get right to it. The first question is, how do you find out about new books to read? Well, mostly, you know, also from BookTube, from people I follow, you know, like To Be Reads and more like reviews or stuff, but mostly it's just, I know. Either I go to the bookstore and like in the English corner I see a book that I like, or I check out an author and see other book series that person has written, or I see it on Tumblr, a new book series there. That's probably where I got introduced to most of them. And yeah, that's kind of, you know, YouTube, BookTube more specifically, Amazon, you know, Knowledge, bookstore, authors. The second question is, how did you get into reading? And, well, I don't really know, because as long as I can remember, I have always been reading, and I might not be able to remember that far back, you know, when I, like, couldn't read, you know, like, solidly, but I remember also when I lived in Greece and was, like, kind of young, always when I went to bed, I would, you know, like, before I had to, like, turn the lights off and go to bed, I would have, like, this big, like, box of books that I would like pull over to the side of my bed, and then I would just like pick a couple and like read through them and stuff, and most of them probably had pictures and stuff, but I've always been reading. And when we came home to Denmark, you know, and I started reading even more, and I also started reading in Greece and stuff, and I read a lot, and I really wanted, I learned to read like really quickly. And my mom, she like, I mean, we did it in school and stuff, but my mom, she also really encouraged it, like bought like extra, like small starting books, and like really got into it. And I cannot remember a time where I didn't love to read. I've always done that, but mostly here in like the couple of years, like I read Harry Potter when I was like 8. But in the years following, like now, I've begun reading even more, like more books, like in quantity. So yeah. How has your taste in books changed as you've gotten older? Well, I would say I've gotten more mature and more like broadened. When I was a bit younger, I was like, well, I want romance, and I'm like, you know, I was a big Twilight fan, which I would still defend the books because they were good. And I was like a Twilight fan, and I liked, you know, like vampires and you know, like shameless romance. That was kind of like my thing. I really like romance, and it sort of, that was like the requirements that I had to have, you know, it's like, or like something that really interested me. But now, and as I've gotten a bit older, it's gotten more broadened, and I read about, you know, like more like adult things, gotten more classics, and you know, like but it wasn't always like only like YA and stuff. But I've always like, it was very like, oh, I just want romance or something. But then I just like opened up, was like, oh, I want everything. It doesn't have to be someone I'm at my age or something. It just has to be everything. I read about just like every genre now, so. Except crime. I never really read crime. Except Sherlock Holmes, but that's more like a detective. How often do I buy books? I don't buy as often as a lot of people. I definitely, buy at least every month. I mean, like, every month I buy, like, at minimum 1, and at maximum, like, 5 or something. But like averagely a month, I would say like 2 books a month that I get, like new books, 2 or 3 books that I buy, like when I just pass through the English section in the bookstore or something. So how did I get into booktubing? It was kind of like this little pattern of like discovery and totally a coincidence. I think I was just randomly searching through YouTube, and I'd found out about this book that I read. I have read it called Forgive My Fins by Terrell Childs, like a mermaid book, because I really like mermaids. And I found out about it and was like, let me search on YouTube. No, I found out about it from a video I randomly entered called In My Mailbox, and I was like, wow, like, it was, I don't remember who it was now, but this was like, wow, and like, I was like, whoa, this person like gets like a lot of books and buys a lot of books and talks about books online. I was like, I love books. Oh my god, I didn't know they did this on YouTube. But it was kind of like, wasn't very booktube-ish. It was a little bit different. And then I looked up, and she'd like bought Forgive My Fins, and I looked it up, and I was like, oh my god, this sounds really cool. So I searched it on YouTube because I wanted to see if someone had made a video about it, and somebody had. And I'm really sad because I love this channel, but I don't remember the person's name, and I can't find the video again. Who made a video about it? And she was like, she had like a real booktubing channel, and I was like, wow. She like makes a review about this, and I read the book, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. People do this? And then I like searched more and more, like the people she was subscribed to, and that she had liked videos, and I looked at those guys, and then I sort of like had like this big peeps I was subscribing to. I was like a watcher. And then I came across, when I looked up bookshelf tours, because I thought they were really cool, and I came upon Price's Wong's, and that was like, she had just uploaded that, like at that time. Like she was like new into the booktubing community, even though she has like a lot more subscribers than than she had then. I looked up at her first video, which was Bookshelf Tour, and she made it seem so easy. Like she was just sitting in front of the camera, and then she showed it off, like no big fancy editing, or like, she was real, and shout out to her, because she's amazing, and she has a really cool channel. And I was just like, wow, this seems so easy. So I was sitting in my bed, and I put on my camera, and I was like, well, look what I got for Christmas. And it was like February, but that doesn't matter. And I was like, you know what? I can totally do this. So I showed the books, and then I uploaded it, and I was like, well, some people saw it. Well, it's cool. And thought, you know what? I'm going to put it on another one, and another one. And I was like, people started watching and stuff, so that's cool. But yeah, sorry for talking so much, but that's how I got into YouTubing. Booktubing. How do you react when you don't like the ending of the book? Mostly I'm like, ugh. I am like sitting there, I was like, what? So like, oh no, it shouldn't have ended that way. That's mostly my reaction. But mostly, I actually really agree with this, that she said in the one that was tagged by TheReadingWarrior. She said, you know, like, and I do this a lot too, like, I sort of convinced myself that I liked the book, even though I was really disappointed in it and didn't like it and thought it was horrible. I'm like, yeah, this is kind of cool. Oh, what an interesting ending. And like, think that, oh yeah. And then like a week or something later, I'm like, damn, that book was really bad. Like, oh my god, I hated the ending. Like, ugh. I don't know why I do it, but I just have to convince myself that the time I spent reading this book was worth it. I don't know. But I always realize it sooner or later that I didn't really like it. How often have you taken a sneaky look at the back page of a book to see if it's a happy ending? I do this with every book that I read. Every single one. Every single one. And also, like TheReadingWarrior, who tagged me, I like to read like the last sentence, and if I'm like, I didn't really understand it, then I read the last page. And if I'm like, then I read the last chapter, or something. And then I'm like, well, and then I read it like from the front. And it's really stupid because you get spoiled and stuff, but yeah. And an actually funny story. The thing I read when I was reading Eclipse, the third Twilight book, its epilogue was in another point of view, the point of view of Jacob, the wolf. And of course I started by looking in the back, and it was like first person, you can see it, like I didn't know it. It didn't say it anywhere, and I was like, okay. And then it started talking about transforming into a wolf. And I was like, wait, what? Bella can't be a werewolf? What? That makes no sense. And I was like, this makes no sense. I'm so confused. And I was like really stressed out. And then I read it from the front and I was like, oh, alternating POVs in the epilogue. Well, so sometimes it's not that smart. Yeah. And the last question is, how many people are you going to tag and who are they? I'm going to tag everybody because I don't really have specifics and I just want everybody to feel like they got tagged by me. So yes, you, everybody. Please make this tag. It is completely awesome. And I hope you like this video. In the description, there is a link to like my Goodreads and my Tumblr. If you want to befriend me on Goodreads, follow me on Tumblr. That's cool. Anything you want to tell me in the comments, please do. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.